Hi there. If you are looking to make a quiz using Google Forms for your students, I'm going to show you some tricks on how to do that. You're going to open up a form just like you would if you were creating a survey, and you're going to go up here to the settings wheel and change some of the settings. In general, you could choose response receipts. Then that's if the person will get a copy of their answers. Sometimes that's nice so that they could see what they put in. Sometimes people like to turn that off if they don't want the kids seeing the copy of the quiz in their inbox. I always like to restrict it to people within our organization and limit it to one response so they can't do multiple. The next place you're going to want to go up here is to quizzes. I'm going to flip this switch to make it a quiz. If you have a Chromebook, you can turn on locked mode, which allows them to not switch to other tabs or browsers. If you don't have Chromebooks, that will not work for you. Down here for release grade, if your quiz is all multiple choice, it's totally fine to release the grade right after they submit. That way, as soon as they turn in, it'll get scored and they'll see how they did. Now, if you have any questions on your quiz that are teacher scored, you're probably going to want to turn it on after manual review because those teacher scored questions will count as 0. So they'll get a 0 on those, and that will reflect differently in their grade. You can choose when they get their grade what they can see. You could see which questions they got wrong. You could have them see the correct answers and the point values. You could choose whichever of these would be appropriate for your students. And once you have the settings finished, you can save that. Okay, so let's add some questions to our quiz. For our first one, what is the sky? We're going to do a multiple choice question. We're going to give some options where there's one correct option and the rest are incorrect. So I've added my multiple choice question. I'm going to go down here where it says answer key. Now for this, I'm going to choose how many points I want it to be and indicate the correct answer. If I want, I can add answer feedback. So for the incorrect, I can add maybe a link or a video to help that student do some reteaching, maybe a YouTube video or a website that will help them understand what the question is asking so that they can understand why they got it incorrect. For correct answers, you could say, good job, or whatever you want that to say there. For incorrect, you might say, watch this video and add a YouTube link there. Okay? So that's the feedback that you can do. But do not have to. Okay? So here's our answer key for this video. I have indicated the right answer, the number of points, and feedback. Okay? Clearly I spelled that wrong, so I'm going to just take that off. Done. So for the next question, I'm going to add another question and say, what is the nation's capital? Okay. And for this one, I don't want it to be multiple choice. I want this one to be a short answer question. So on this one, they'll have to type it in themselves. For the answer key, I will add all of the correct answers that I'm willing to accept. So Washington, D.C. Maybe I'll also accept Washington, D.C. Maybe I'm not going to make them. Maybe if they just put DC, I'll accept that. But if they put anything else, it's going to be incorrect. And again, I can add that feedback if I wanted on the student response. So you're going to want to add different spelling options that you're willing to accept, and anything else would be incorrect here. So here I'm going to count that as 2 points. So I've added that type of question there. That will be self-grading. Now the next question, tell me about your book. Okay, so for this type of question, I'm going to say it's a paragraph. There is no right or wrong answer here. There's no way the computer can score this for me. Okay, so what I'm going to do for this one, I'm going to say how many points it would be worth. This one's going to be worth 4 points, okay? And I could add feedback after they've submitted anything. But for the most part, I'm going to have to be grading that one myself. So I'm going to click done. I also would want to indicate that they're all required so that the kids can't just skip them. Making them required also helps that if they try to submit and they forgot to do one, it will send them back to do that. All right, so the quiz is all set up. You could add other questions if you wanted. If you wanted to do something with check boxes where there were multiple, um, in your answer key, you would indicate which ones are correct. Okay. You could indicate which ones are correct, and you could have multiple that are correct. So you would want to indicate those there. Now, keep in mind, I think they need to get all of them in order to get the points. If they only got some of it, I don't think they would just get some of the points. So that's how you create your quiz. When you go to send it out to your class, I typically would take this and I would take the link, I would copy this link, and I would post this to my kids on Google Classroom. Another way of adding it through Google Classroom would be to just go into Google Classroom after you have your quiz created, and under classwork, you're going to create an assignment. It's a quiz assignment. And this has a blank quiz here. I'm going to actually want to add a quiz that I've already created from my Google Drive. I'm going to do that sample quiz that I just made. All right, and I'm going to have that as a Google Classroom assignment ready to go. I could say how many points it was. I forgot how many I made it. When's it due? And I could have that all ready to go. If you're on a Chromebook, you could turn this on and it'll lock it. If you're not on a Chromebook, you don't need to worry about that. So you would go ahead and just assign that for your class, and it would show up right here as their quiz that they can go in and click to complete. As a teacher, you would be able to see your students' work. As they turn them in, I'd be able to see the kids' responses as they are submitted here. Okay. The other way to grade them as they get submitted in the responses, I don't have any yet. Oh, there, I have one response on my quiz. So over here, you could see the summary. These are for your class averages of what the students scored on each question. Frequently missed questions would show up, and then the scores. Now, they're not released because I'm waiting to release them once I have graded the teacher graded portion. I could see the overview for the class there. I could look question by question to see how the students did, to see if the questions were fair. And then by individual, I could sort the different teachers that took the quiz or the different students to see how they did there. And then if they are a teacher graded question, so here, this is teacher graded, so I'm going to give myself 3 points for that. The correct answer was all 3, so I'm actually going to only give myself 1 point there. Down here, I like my book. It's not a very complete answer, so I'm going to give 2 points, and I'm going to save that. Now I could see that this student got 6 out of 10, and if I'm ready, I can go ahead and release that score, and I could release it for all the respondents when I've graded all of their assignments, or if I want to do it student by student, I could just do the one student. So I would send the emails, and the kids would get an email that their score is finished, that their quiz is graded. All right, so there's a lot of different ways you can use Google Forms to collect information from your students. It's pretty user-friendly and straightforward. It doesn't have a lot of real fancy features, but it's pretty simple to use. You could also add videos to your questions or passages. You can get you could really explore and do a lot with it. But those are the basics to get you started. I hope you enjoy. Let me know if you have any questions.